Welcome boys and girls from YouTube. My name is Sloth, this is SlothForge, and I hope that you're doing fine. I hope that you have a wonderful time on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. At least it is for me now, Wednesday afternoon. I don't know when you watch this video, but I still hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful time. Now let's get a bit more into today's topic. Today I want to discuss a little bit, or not only discuss, but to have an in-depth look at Lelwanis. He's another exclusive hero, and even free-to-play players can, in theory, get Lelwanis. Actually, I think that there are accounts and players out there that should prioritize Lelwanis over Flora. Yes, I said it. I think that in some cases, Lelwanis is actually better than Flora. It depends, of course. It depends also on your personal goals, on your personal playstyle. But I just really like Lelwanis. I think she's such a great hero, and she's just a bit more versatile than Flora is. Now, of course, when it comes to the Vortex boss, not a single hero is as strong as Flora is. Now, look at this team here. What a good example, Sloth. Now, look at this team. It is dealing 1.8 billion damage, and like at least 90% probably, or 85 to 90% of the damage comes from Flora. Flora is insane. I already made another video about Flora, so if you're interested in this as well, just look at my other videos. And if you're just looking at my other videos, consider to leave a like and subscribe as well. But now let's get into this. Why do I say that I prefer Lelwanis, at least in some cases, over Flora? I already mentioned this a couple of times, but those season rankings, they are good, and the rewards, they are important, and those rewards are good, don't get me wrong. But it is not the end of the world if you are not in the top 20 or in the top 50 or even in the top 100. As long as you are playing actively, you will probably stay in the top 20%, and even if not, as long as you're in the top 5%, and this is absolutely possible for everyone out there if you're playing actively. And since you're watching this video, you're probably one of those persons that play relative actively, then you will have no problem to reach top 5%. And the difference between top 5% and top 20 is not that big. It's still 20 of those dice, it's a little bit less of those scrolls, and that's it pretty much. I already said those scrolls, those are extremely valuable, but everyone gets 20 of them, and the difference between the golden ones, the purple ones, and the blue ones, there is nearly no difference. You only have the possibility to gain some exclusive heroes on your first 20 summons when using those tickets, but it is not guaranteed at all. There is still only like 0.5% chance or so to get an exclusive hero when you're using those golden scrolls over the purple or blue scrolls. So there is nearly no difference. So don't stress yourself too much when it comes to those ranking rewards. If in case you wonder, it is just those scrolls. They guarantee you a legendary hero after 10 summons. So as long as you get 20 of those scrolls, you can guarantee yourself 2 legendary heroes within 20 summons, which is very nice. But it is absolutely no problem if you only have access to the blue scrolls, to the blue tickets. I should not call them scrolls. It can be a bit, weird or hard to follow, because actually those are the scrolls, so the tickets. When I said scrolls, I meant tickets. So those tickets, there is nearly no difference, so don't stress yourself too much. So, and of course, if you enjoy those competition, if you want to be in the very highest place in the leaderboards, then you should probably go for Lelwanis, for Flora. I'm sorry guys, for Flora. But if you just want a very versatile hero, a hero that is capable of doing many things and is probably S tier in so many different areas in the game, then Lelwanis is your way to go probably. And this is why I made this video today, just to help you people to decide if it is worth to maybe don't go for Flora but for Lelwanis. Because I realized that many people out there, or most people out there actually, suggest to go for Flora for your first exclusive hero. And it is absolutely nothing wrong with going for Flora, But it is also absolutely nothing wrong with going for Lelwanis. And I want to show you a little bit why. So let's start with today's topic, Lelwanis. And first, how should you build your Lelwanis? Actually, it's very easy to build her. Just give her as much attack as possible, good crit damage, and a little bit of crit rate. Well, when it comes to Lelwanis, it is actually fine to go with only 80% crit rate as well, because she has a talent that gives her another 20% crit rate. But we will talk about the talents in a couple of minutes. First, let's talk a little bit about how to build the perfect Lelwanis. As I said, you only want high attack and good amount of crit. You don't even have to go for HP and defense, because she has an amazing passive as well. She's one of those heroes that gets better over time, so she is not the best for speedrunning, but when it comes to longer battles, so for example, the Continental Challenge, Planar bosses, or even for Vortex, she is, even for Vortex, still an extremely strong hero when it comes to Planar, to the Alliance Planar battles, or to the Continental Challenge. She is actually one of the very, very best heroes out there for Season 1. Just because of this amazing passive. Every single time another hero dies, she gets, and not only a hero, but another unit on the field dies from your team. She gains a permanent stack that provides 5% defense and 5% attack, and up to 50 of those stacks, which means you can go for up to 250% additional defense and 250% additional attack. So this is why she gets so insanely strong, but you have to pair her with at least one hero that can summon some units. You don't have to, but it helps her to get those stacks a bit faster. But as I said, you don't have to, because once again, she has a very interesting talent, which we will talk about in a minute. But first, let's have a real quick look at her skills. Now here she gets those passively stacks, which are extremely strong. Then, on her battle skill, she can summon a corpse that lasts for 15 seconds and deals a little bit of additional damage as well. And also, this corpse helps to give her some dragon blood stacks. But of course, it is only one corpse. So, if you have only her on her own, without the best talent, then you will have a very hard time to reach your 50 stacks. Because there are teams that are designed to help her reach her 50 stacks ASAP, and it is highly recommended to do so, just because she deals so much more damage when she has her stacks. And now her ultimate. As you can see, there is a lot of text when it comes to her ultimate. So let me make a quick conclusion of her ultimate. She deals a very good amount of AoE damage, and once she's using her ultimate and she has reached 20 stacks, she transforms into a dragon and stays in this dragon form for the whole battle. Let me tell you, this dragon form is crazy. This dragon form is so strong, because now her basic attacks deal AoE damage, which is very, very strong for different areas once again. For example, the Planar bosses from your alliance, or also the Continental Challenge within the right boss. So this is very strong. And also just her ultimate overall. Every single time she's using her ultimate, it deals so much damage. It scales very, very good. And yeah, and actually she can even reach 70 stacks, but we will talk about this in a couple of minutes. Now, this is Lelwanis. She's a relatively simple kit, buffing herself, summoning this little corpse that is also dealing a little bit of damage, and then dealing high amounts of AoE damage and transforming herself into a dragon that also deals AoE damage on the basic attacks. And now, let's talk about her talents. Because there are two different paths that you can use for your Lelwanis, and actually you should swap them here and there, depending on what content you are using her and in what team you are using her. For example, if you are using her as your DPS unit in the arena, I would highly suggest to go with this, with the upper row. Let me do this real quick, to spend those 10,000 gold for this video. Yeah. Go with the upper row, or the top row if you're using her as your main or your only DPS unit in Arena, for example, because of this final of the last talent. Every single time now she's using her ultimate, she just gets 5 of those stacks. Even if there are no other summon heroes, now she can reach her maximum stack of those Dragon Blood buffs relatively quickly. And also, she is healing herself by 20% of her HP, which can be very useful as well. And also, another very strong and important part when it comes to this top row is the stress response. Because now, every single time an ally summons a unit, she gets 2% crit rate. And this is what I meant when I said that it is actually fine to use her with 80% crit rate. But not only, but if you're using her with 80% crit rate, then it is probably a better idea to go with the top row of the talents just for those additional 20% crit rate. Because it just is very nice and really is a bit more reliable if you know that you're going to crit 100% of the time. Especially if you focus on very high amount of crit damage, then it is highly recommended to go for as much crit rate as possible. So this is why I am often using the top row, but for other areas in the game, I'm using the bottom row, because the bad part is that her final talent does not provide any additional damage, just helps her to gain those stacks faster and to sustain a little bit. But if you're using her in a team that is built around to help her reach the maximum cap of stacks, it is actually not needed. And in this case, I would go with the bottom row because of the Dark Covenant. It is such a strong skill, such a strong talent, because it helps you to deal an additional 24% damage just on her talent. This is so strong, because you know that some of the strongest artifacts out there are so strong because they help you to deal, or they give you a buff for another 30% damage. So another 24% damage on a talent, not on an item, but on a talent, is very strong. So this is why in many other cases, especially if you are using her in a summoner team with other summoner heroes, then you should probably go with the bottom row for Lelwanis. Now, this is when we're talking about those talents. You have to swap them sometimes, as I said, but it only is like 10,000 gold. 10,000 gold is like nothing. So yeah, don't feel bad if you swap them here and there. You can also swap your talents in general, just for testing some stuff, and it won't hurt your financial status in any way. Now, let's talk, after we've talked about her stats and her talents and her skills, let's talk a little bit about the recommended set. Because once again, there are some options when it comes to the gear sets that you can use on your Lelwanis. First, it is probably just for if you want to use her overall in every single area in the game with the same build, then it is recommended to go with 4 different one-piece sets that all provide additional damage. Just once again, you know, strike the unprepared set in combination with the imposing presence, and for the top row, you want the fearless challenge in combination with the chaos symbiosis, just for the maximum output. But there are some cases where actually those 3-piece sets are a little bit better when it comes to building Lelwanis. One of those cases is if you are using her on areas in the game where you're facing multiple enemies. The more enemies, the more likely it is that you want to use either the Heart of the Gambler set or the Executioner set, the Imperial Executioner. Because the more enemies there are, the higher the chance to trigger those 3-piece effects. So especially the Heart of the Gambler is just the perfect set for her, but the Executioner, the Imperial Executioner set, is just perfect for her as well when she's fighting multiple enemies. So for example, the Continental Challenge or the Planar bosses from your alliance. There it is just highly recommended to use the Heart of the Gambler set or the Executioner set. Now, of course, if you have like the very best and the perfect mythical pieces, one-piece sets, then you're absolutely fine to go with them as well. Because in the end, the most important part are her stats. If you can reach like 400% crit damage, then you should definitely use the 400% crit damage set over a 3-piece set, just because I said to you that you should use the 3-piece set if it is like 100% crit damage less. So, and once again, you can always test it, just run it a couple of times and then compare the runs. And then you should see what stats or what set is better for your personal account. But overall, the Heart of the Gambler and the Executioner set are very, very strong on Lelwanis. And the last part, let's talk about her exclusive artifact, because this is also a very important part. Now, if you don't have access to the exclusive artifact, you can, for example, use the Great Demon's Skull. Just fits also very good for her, provides her crit rate, which makes her a lot easier to build, because then you can focus more on crit damage on your gloss. And especially if you pair her with other summoning heroes, then this demonic grudge effect gets activated often and helps you to reach up to 6 stacks, so another 30% additional damage overall. So this is also a very strong item on your Lelwanis. Or you could just go, for example, with the Whisper of the Consumer. Also very, very useful, very strong. And if you don't have access to any mythical artifacts yet, also a very strong artifact for her is the Eyeball, for example, just because it provides attack, good amount of attack, and her ultimate, which her main damage source is her ultimate, just gets this damage bonus. But yeah, overall, generally speaking, there are many very strong artifacts when it comes to your Lelwanis, but the by far strongest artifact is her exclusive artifact. There are some exclusive heroes, so for example Godtier or Nestyanka, who don't need their exclusive artifact. It helps them to deal more damage, but it does not double their damage. But Lelwanis and Flora are some examples of heroes that if you have the possibility to get their exclusive artifacts, you should definitely do so. Because this exclusive artifact is crazy. First, it provides 80% crit damage, and I love my crit damage. It is just always nice to have crit damage on your artifacts, but now this effect, the Lure of the Dead, is insane. It gives you up to 70% defense penetration, because for every 10 stacks that she has of the Dragon Blood, he gets 10% defense penetration. And I said it in other videos as well, and I say it now once again. Ignoring defense is one of the biggest impacts on your overall damage. And because some of those bosses and other areas as Fey Meander, for example, are designed with units with very high amounts of defense. And now if you ignore so high amounts of their defense, it just helps you to deal insane amounts of damage. So this is why this artifact is just so stupid strong on Lelwanis. It helps you to deal double, maybe even triple damage in some areas of the game, just for this artifact, because ignoring defense will help you to deal so much more damage than any other stat. Ignoring 70% defense is probably so much better than an additional 100% crit damage. Now, of course, I cannot guarantee this because I cannot test it. I cannot swap this defense penetration for crit damage, but overall, it is for sure that ignoring defense or defense penetration is one of the best skills when you want to, or one of the best abilities when you want to deal as much damage as possible. So Lelwanis is one of those heroes that benefit so much from her exclusive artifact. Now, I said that she can penetrate up to 70%. And actually, this is what is very important when it comes to building her. Now, when you're using her on her own, she only can reach up to 50 stacks, as the passive here says. She can only get up to 50 stacks. But when her true dragon form, so after she has used her ultimate with more than 20 dragon blood stacks, she transforms into her true dragon form. Then, when she gets in the true dragon form some additional dragon blood, the limit can be increased by up to 70. And this is crucial. The impact of those additional 20 stacks is very, very big, because it is just another 100% defense and another 100% attack. And also, if you're using the black blood scale, another 20% defense penetration. Now, how can we provide additional dragon blood when she is in her true dragon form? Now, she cannot do this on her own. She cannot do this with her passive, but there are heroes that can help her. And right now, the hero that is best for this task is Centralia. Now, is she called Centralia? Yes. Because with her ultimate, she can select an allied undead creature, and this is very important. Once Lelwanis transforms into her dragon form, she is coded into the game as an undead creature, as in summoned creature. She's no longer coded as an hero, just like, for example, your Eric is or your Torin is. Now she is coded as an summoned creature. This is very important, because now she can be the target of those skills and those talents that target summoned creatures. And now the ultimate of Centralia does not target, or does not perform a duplicate, does not create a duplicate of your Lelwanis. This would be too crazy, but it helps her to push her stacks by another 20. And that's it. This is just, your Centralia is like the best hero in combination with Lelwanis. And I think that there was a way to get Centralia relatively easy. I cannot remember 100% how. I think it was it either for like $2 or $5, or it was for 1,000 or 2,000 of those worm arrow. I'm not 100% sure about this. If you remember what pack involved Centralia, let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested, because I cannot remember 100%. But if you have somehow the possibility to get Centralia and you have Lelwanis, then you should definitely go for Centralia, just because her ultimate helps her to reach another 20 stacks. And right now, this is the only way to provide another 20 stacks for Lelwanis. If I'm not mistaken, maybe there are other ways as well. If you know about other ways, let me know in the comments below once again. But right now, this is the best, or the only way that I'm aware of. And this is why you should definitely use your Centralia in combination with your Lelwanis. Like nearly always when you use Lelwanis. The only way where I won't or would not recommend to combine Centralia and Lelwanis is in PvP. You're using Lelwanis as your DPS unit, then she can reach 50 stacks on her own, which is absolutely fine. And for Feymeander as well, because in Feymeander you just don't have space. Normally you don't have space for Centralia, because this is her only purpose, actually, to be honest. She does not deal good amounts of damage, and if you have Lelwanis, she will only use her ultimate on Lelwanis, and that's it. She don't deal much damage, she is not debuffing. Okay, yeah, she has this Benji's curse, but the impact of this Benji's curse is not that big. It is good, but it is not her main purpose. Her main purpose is her ultimate, and this is why normally you don't have space for Centralia in your Feymeander team, but you don't need her in your Feymeander team. Lelwanis can do on her own, and you can, if you don't have access to Centralia, you can use Lelwanis just on her own, and it is absolutely fine. You compare her with any other summoning unit. She's also paired perfectly in combination with Isillas, because he can summon so many of those skeletons, which just helps your Centralia to reach her 50 stacks relatively quickly. You can also pair her with Premza, and you will be absolutely fine. So I think that's it pretty much. This is the in-depth look at Lelwanis. I hope that I did not forget anything. And yeah, if I forgot anything, if I said something wrong, if you disagree with me and you say, no, Lelwanis is not that good, You don't need her early on, or you should definitely go for other exclusives. As always, please let me know in the comments below. I'm very, very interested in your opinions. Because, yeah, there are so many different heroes. There are so many different playstyles that, of course, our opinions vary. And they can vary a lot. And this is why I'm doing those videos, just to give you my opinion on those heroes. But of course, if you disagree, it is absolutely fine. And I'm always very interested. Now, before we end this video, let me show you my Centralia, my Lelwanis. As you can see, I've dealt 380 million damage with Lelwanis with this team. It is super easy to build this team. It helped me like another 100 million damage when I've been using this artifact instead of another artifact. Sadly, I saved the run, because otherwise I could show you the run real quick. But this is it right now. This is not a team that I created. This team, many people are using it right now. Probably most people are using it right now. And actually, there is also an even better hero than Thea for this team. This Fitz. I will probably do a video about this in the next couple of days. Fitz is just very, very strong for the Centralia boss. Not Centralia boss, for the Vasca boss. Just because he can consume the attack penalty debuffs, and then your heroes don't have the attack penalty debuff. But right now there is a small bug where we don't know if it is a bug or if it is intended, because Lelwanis is not affected by the attack penalty debuff right now. But yeah, we're not 100% sure if it is a bug or if it is intended, because maybe it could be the case that she is not affected by those attack penalty debuffs because she is coded as a summon. And summon heroes in general are not affected by attack penalty debuffs. So only future will tell if this is a bug or if it is intended. But just as a quick showcase, look at those numbers, 380 million. This is insane, because normally after 200 million there is not much space. Now let me show you this one team real quick. Like, this is insane. 570 million damage. Of course, it isn't inspired at level 5, but as you can see, he's also using the Dark Covenant talent, and he is using 4 different mythical artifacts. That's because now he can reach like 350% crit damage. Also, more than 5,500 attack. This Lelwanis is crazy, and this damage is crazy as well. And it is very strange to reach those high amounts of damage, but the reason why we can push the damage so far at Vasca boss is because the Vasca boss is spawning so many ads. He's spawning so many minions that your AoE heroes, for example Lelwanis, just love this boss, because now they can deal so many damage every single time with their ultimate, but also with her basic attacks, because her basic attacks, as I said, are AoE as well. But now, before we get any deeper into this, that's it for today's video. I hope that I mentioned everything important, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please consider to leave a like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.